We're going to discuss the Gita today by chapters, and I'm going to call on the students who have been engaged in the studies. So I'm going to call first, our first student this afternoon will be Neil. So please give Neil Singh a big round of applause. Neil, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. Nervous?
No, not quite.
We find that sometimes the closest people to God fight the most battles. When Arjuna was so close in proximity to Lord Krishna, I mean, he was standing here, Lord Krishna was standing there. When he was so close in proximity to Lord Krishna, why was he so afraid? Why was he so weak? And why did he have so much fear in himself?
Well, even though Arjuna was close friends with Lord Krishna and very close in proximity at the time, he wasn't introduced to Lord Krishna's full form at the time. He just saw him as a friend, which he was. And also, I think that Lord Krishna allowed him to feel that way, to teach him a lesson or make a lesson out of what was happening so he could teach Arjuna and all of us in the future.
Absolutely, and sometimes, God has so much abilities, so much trust in our abilities, Do you think he was being harsh, or do you think he was being realistic? Because, sometimes we say things nowadays in a tone, or we use words that are not bad words, but in a particular way which requires to be used, and people say we're harsh. But do you think Lord Krishna was being harsh, or do you think he was being realistic? And do you think more of this is needed in today's society?
I think Lord Krishna was being a bit of both, actually.
It's been a journey, learning the Gita. I think something that has not a lot of young people are exposed to these days. So you're going to talk about chapter 3. And again, every one of the children here, they chose their chapters. They chose what they're going to talk about. Some of them had opinions, and I let them give their opinions. But I wanted this to be something that they talk about rather than me trying to tell them what to say. So you're going to talk about chapter 3. Let's hear about your understanding.
Okay, so chapter 3 is called Karma Yoga. It's known as the path of actions. Doing something and not doing something actually matters. The concept of performing action and not performing action is seen in verse 4. By not doing something doesn't mean you're doing something right. For instance, if you're in a situation where you see someone's injured or they need help and you don't do anything about it because you don't want to get in trouble or you just don't want to get involved, that's a sin and it shouldn't be done. So overall, the idea of karma is that one must perform actions wholeheartedly and they must not have personal attachments or else it would not lead them to God. So in order to reach liberation and to avoid any obstacles, we must perform actions wholeheartedly in order to see the light of God.
That's awesome. And it's always, liberating to hear when young people are talking about God and actions and freedom.